then there's the lovely chapter at the end, which is all about the Hasta mythos and how to use a Hasta mythos in Delta Green. Now, the Hasta mythos, for those of you not in the know, is very, very trippy. That's the whole point behind it. It's very I'm trying to think of a similarity for you. It's very a Yellow Submarine-esque. Things change radically. Jacob's Ladder type thing, that kind of thing where nothing makes sense at all, and the more you delve deeper into it, the more mad not only you go, but the world around you goes, because you start seeing things that aren't there, or you start to perceive things like they should be perceived in the first place, depending on the viewpoint of the person you're talking about. Right, and then you get your appendices. Once again, these are massive, and I'll go into them again. The practically chapters in themselves, I don't know why they're called appendices, they might as well just be in other chapters. The first is Psychic Powers. It's a relatively small chapter, gives you rules on how to use psychics within Call of Cthulhu, the intention being that you use them in a Pisces campaign, because Pisces still do, to this day, as the most public front, collect talented people. As they call them talented, we would call them psychics. And psychics are very, very underpowered, very, very low-key things. They're not like magic. And they, again, have the tendency to drive you quite bar-craving mad. So it's very interesting. We've got the Files of Professor Emerson. Now, this is really good. Basically, what this has done is it's taken, supposedly, reports from Professor Emerson, who has worked on samples of various different things that have been brought to him by Delta Green. The first being the aquatic humanoids, i.e. the deep ones from Innsmouth. Then you've got the Manhattan Subterraneans, which are the ghouls from New York. And then you've got some other ones, which I'm not going to go into because it does spoil previous adventures, which actually takes place in the Delta Green book. But it does give you this lovely idea that, because although you have magic in Call of Cthulhu, and Delta Green as well, obviously, in both cases, we perceive as magic, although the overall impression you would get from reading some of Lovecraft's work is that what we perceive as magic is incredibly advanced technology, or understandings of how the universe works up and beyond the three-dimensional plane which we perceive. So, while granted certain magical effects, like for example turning from a human to a deep one, would be considered magical. There is a scientific principle, even if we don't fully understand it, behind it, and that is kind of how this delves into it. It's quite interesting reading. Not sure how you'd use it in a game. I really don't know, because first of all, it's a lot of raw data. It's very dry reading in places, and it wouldn't make for a good handout in my opinion. Granted, some long-term campaigns could benefit from stuff like this falling on the desks of player characters and give them a chance to read between sessions. That would be quite handy. But I wouldn't want the session to grind to a halt while somebody read a 4-page document of extremely small text. Let me just give you an example. There we go. Yeah. Basically, that's it. That's the chapter. Now, obviously, the rest of the chapter has these lovely borders and maps and things like that, and pictures. Lovely pictures. Right, you've got a couple of new skills as well, nothing particularly fantastic. And then, again, adventures. Adventures tend to run off what is in here. And you've got a Victim of Art, Night Floors, and Dead Letter. And I've only run one of these so far. And it was Night Floors, which is basically the Hasta one, which is basically an apartment block which has been tainted by Hasta himself. So at night, the whole thing changes radically. It starts gaining additional floors it never had before. Everyone in it starts acting differently. Tenants which never lived there before start miraculously appearing. Rooms which weren't there before start appearing as well. And it gets very, very trippy very quickly, and it's a good adventure. Drive you mad, not much chance of killing you. That's what I like to call a good Call of Cthulhu adventure. And then you've got your agency templates at the back, and this is like... This is 110 pages. 110 pages of agencies from throughout the world, broken down into not only their countries of origin, but what they actually do, and it gives you a good idea of the mandates they have and how they were formed, when they were formed, and what they do. I mean, there's the index just for the agencies themselves, and it's quite immense. It makes generating a character that's not part of the US very, very easy, and if it is part of the US, easier and easier, because it covers stuff that was missed out from the Delta Green book. This, in my opinion, is the most useful of all the appendices that Delta Green's ever published, and it just gives you, even if you don't find what you're looking for, it gives you a step in the right direction. And granted, some of this stuff is out of date because, again, this was printed before September the 11th, which has changed a lot when it comes to government organisations and, you know, spying networks, things like that. But it gives you a lot to work with, and it is fantastic. Now, I've gushed over this for probably over 10 minutes now. Should you get this? I think it's still in print. It shouldn't be too hard to find one copy. I got this by searching around when it wasn't in print. I believe there has been another print run since I purchased this, so it shouldn't be too hard to get your hands on a copy of Countdown. If you can't find a copy and you have to go to eBay, if you're paying more than £30, you're getting done. So buyer beware. There are people trying to price gouge on stuff like this, and there is no need to pay that amount of money. Just shop around and you will find a good copy, just like I did. And this, in my opinion, is essential to Delta Green, purely because of the appendices at the back. But if you want to expand, like I say, the zeitgeist of the game beyond Delta Green versus MJ12 versus the Greys versus Flying Saucers, if you want to go beyond that, this is a great way of doing it. Thank you for your time, guys. Goodbye.